kind of a quick and dirty overview, relatively quick, of a very misunderstood, very delicious plant, black nightshade, or plants in the Solanum nigrum complex. First and foremost, you need to read Sam Thayer's article on this plant. The essay that he wrote is so much more informative and articulate than I could ever hope to be. Just infinitely more knowledgeable about this plant than I think anyone else is. So read that, it's linked to the video description. But black nightshade plants are going to be very common garden weeds. This is my friend's garden in Minnesota. They're all over the place, and they're related to tomatoes. I don't have a lot of footage of harvesting here, but I'm going to mention that instead of picking these by hand, I wanted images of the complete fruit. You should put a tarp underneath the plant and then shake it to get the ripe fruit, just like you would if you had a ground cherry bush, which these are related to ground cherries too. So that is going to be the most efficient way to harvest the fruit. You'll see why too, because I had to remove all the calyxes individually. Okay, some lookalikes to go over. This is very quick and dirty. I just have two little infographics to go over. Okay, deadly nightshade's on the right. It has larger singular fruit, a calyx wider than the fruit, and purple to brown flowers. And black nightshade has white flowers, green unripe fruit, and the fruit always grow bunched. If you can tell the difference between colors, you can tell the difference between these plants. The other one to keep a lookout for is Solanum the Camaroon, and this one is very common. I'll see them growing together. The ones you don't want have red fruit when ripe and purple flowers. So if you can tell the difference between white and purple, you're going to be fine. And those aren't lethal either. But you can see I harvested all my berries from my yard like this, and I don't want to strain the seeds out. So I had to sit at a table and pick the calyx off of the top of each one and the stem for like 2 hours. So that was a huge pain. And most people are going to consume this around the world as a leafy green that's cooked. It could also be a juice crop. Just look at the color of that juice. It's sweet. It tastes like sweet tomato blueberry juice. Okay, steamed nightshade greens is the first thing that you should make. So easy. You will see that the greens that I have, these are slightly older than is ideal, because you can see some of the inflorescence, young flowers have started on some of those. They're not fully formed, but that means that the greens might be a little more chewy and they might be a little bit more bitter. So next time I would probably blanch them if they had the unripe flowers on. But here is just a little taste test. All right, here goes. My first black nightshade greens with the black nightshade berries. Well, I ate some before. The greens are a little bit bitter when they're steamed, a little bit less bitter when they're blanched. They are excellent. They're better than tomato leaves. I tried cooking tomato leaves, and I like them better as an herb. These have a traditional use around the world as a cooked leafy green, which I find so fascinating. Like, people are basically cooking a variety of tomato leaves as a green leafy vegetable and enjoying it. Yeah, man, they have a special flavor. They have a stronger taste, which I think is awesome. I love all the greens, and they're nice and tender. Quiet kitty. I really like having a few of just the fresh berries, the fresh black nightshade berries in with the greens. You get a little bit of sweet and then a little bit of bitter from the greens. Like, what a cool way to enjoy the whole plant. Because the berries are very sweet. They're almost like a ground cherry. I would say they're more comparable to the flavor of a ground cherry than they are to like regular tomatoes. They definitely have like a sweetness to them. And when I talked to Sam Thayer about them yesterday, he told me that he liked to put black nightshade berries in applesauce, which makes total sense. I mean, they're a berry. More so, they just have like a good, deep green flavor, kind of like green beanie or green peppers almost, but not too much. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's great. Like, what a fantastic green. I can't wait to cook them in a blend, but now I want more. And I think I may have to grow some. The other thing I knew I had to make, which is the reason I spent all the time trimming the little berries, is Nastergal Konfyt. This is like a Dutch, or maybe it's a Zulu traditional preserve. So the plant is also called garden huckleberry. It's been sold like that for over 100 years. It's not a huckleberry. It's related to tomatoes. They don't want to use the word nightshade when they're selling it. So you just make a jam out of them. You can substitute black nightshade berries in any recipe to use a blueberry or a huckleberry. They're really, really cool. I mean, just look at that color. I could sit and watch that pan cook. I did find for just basic preserves, I did need to puree the fruit to kind of break them up, release those seeds, because that's part of the character. You don't want to strain those seeds out, because when it's all nice and sweet and rich and fruity like that, see, it looks just like huckleberry or blueberry. All those little seeds have a very comparable texture to ground cherries or fig seeds. So it's kind of like blueberry fig jam from a plant that's related to tomatoes that most people think is probably going to kill you, but it's actually traditional food around the world. Hope you learned a little bit about black nightshade. Such a cool plant. There's a lot more information on the post on my website that's linked at the top of the video description. And make sure to read Sam's essay on this plant too, because it is so well done. Thanks for watching.